Hi and welcome to the video series on domaining. Domaining is all about buying and selling domain names. So in this particular video series, you're going to learn, what kind of research you need to do before you buy the domain name, what tools you're going to need, and how you're going to flip it and then of course sell it. So with that said, let's go ahead and get started. Now, before I actually move on to talk about what kind of tools that you need, I want to give you a overview of the whole video series. As you can see here, we've got 7 videos. This video is video number 1. It's the introduction to domaining. And video 2 is about what you need to avoid doing. So avoid doing the following. I'm going to give you a list of things that you need to avoid doing. And once you understand these things, then you can move on to finding profitable domain names, which is in video 3. In video 3, I'll show you a specific and cool tip that you can use to find profitable domain names. Most of you, if you've run an online business or you've done affiliate marketing or anything like that, then you've used this same method. If you haven't, don't worry, because I'm going to actually go through it step by step. Video 4 is how to register your domain name. Once you have found profitable domain names, then what? That's video 4. Video 5 is generating passive cash. Let's say you have a profitable domain name, but you don't want to sell it right then and there. You want to generate some passive cash. Well, in video 5, I show you just how to do that. Video 6 is all about flipping your domain name. If you've gone through the process of, researching, different things from video 3 and 4 and 5, you've done your research so far, you found that the domain name is profitable. If that is the case, then you can make it even more valuable and more profitable by flipping your domain name. And I'm going to show you that in video 6. Not hard to do, very, very easy to do. In fact, it's just all about setting up a squeeze page and basically driving traffic to that domain name. Sort of like flipping a website, but you're flipping a domain name and making it more valuable. Because sometimes people will look at not just the domain name, the name, but they also look at the value of the name. So we're kind of diving a little bit into website flipping, but not necessarily, just a little bit. And of course in video 7, let's say that you flipped your domain name, you got traffic going to it, or let's say you skip that step and you still have people searching for that domain name, then you can sell the domain name. That's in video 7. I show you steps on how to sell your domain name, where to sell your domain name, who can you approach, and different little tips and advice on that. So now that you understand what the video series is all about, I can continue on right now with the introduction to domaining. What I want to talk about is what you're going to need before you get started. Well, of course, you're going to need the internet. You're going to need your brain, because a lot of what we're going to do is that you're going to need at least $40 for web hosting and domain registration. At least. The more the better. Because remember, you're buying domain names. And domain names don't cost that much. They cost, $7 here, $8, $9 per year. So we're not talking about a lot of money here. Web hosting is optional if you do video 6. If you decide to set up a squeeze page, drive traffic to your domain name, then you're going to need web hosting. But if you don't do that, you don't need web hosting. And I'm going to show you in just a minute where you can find web hosting for fairly cheap. And we're talking about $10, $20 a year. We're not talking about $5, $10, $20 a month. What I'm trying to do here is save you money, but at the same time, get you profitable domain names. Or get you to that point to understanding how to find profitable domain names. And of course, we're going to need other tools like keyword tools and things like that, but they're all free. They're just the internet and they're just websites. So let me go ahead and show you some web hosting places you can get cheap and reliable web hosting. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is look for web hosting. If you don't know what web hosting is, it's basically the server that holds your files. For example, right now I'm at google.com, right? Google.com is a domain name. Web hosting is basically the server that hosts and that holds all these images and things like that. So in order to see the website, you're going to need a web host, and of course you're going to need a domain name that points to a web host. A lot of times I give people analogies, and if you don't understand what web hosting is, think of a house. You've got an address, right? Address is like the domain name. The address points to a specific house. The house is like web hosting, right? You fill the house up with furniture and things like that, like images, windows, flowers, things like that. So the house is web hosting. If the house is not there, if you don't put anything in the house, it's going to be an empty house. So as you can see, you're going to need web hosting. Now, where do you find web hosting? A lot of domain registrars will provide you with web hosting for cheap, but I don't recommend that you actually do that just because that's not their focus. I would recommend sites like HostGator.com. Go to HostGator.com, and you'll notice that there are cheap plans, like $4 a year. And you can also view web hosting plans. If you're just getting started, you're probably going to need a reseller account, but it's not that expensive. And another place to go, if you like to go shop around and you want a good deal, you can also go to a place called Web Hosting Talk. And this is a forum, it's webhostingtalk.com. But here's the thing, they also provide you with shared hosting offers. What you're looking for is a reseller account. And I'm pointing you to a forum specifically because a lot of businesses go here because that's where they advertise all these deals. Sometimes you can get deals for like $9 a year or $6 a year. Now that sounds insanely cheap, right? But here's the thing. People go here and they compete against each other. Web hosters, they compete so much that it drives the price down a lot further. So you're dealing with like $1.75 a month, which is less than $12, $12, $15. And sometimes you can find $9 a year. And I used to be in the web hosting industry, and when I got started, I remember selling web hosting for $9.99 a year. It wasn't a lot of money, but you got to penetrate the market. You got to compete with all these people. So that's the reason why I'm showing you this place right here. Once you get your web hosting and your domain name, then you can set everything up. And I'm not going to talk about that now, specifically because I want to move on to video 2. Now, if you understand all this stuff, you can go ahead and move on. And like I said, we're going to use the internet. We're going to use a lot of different sites, a lot of free sites out there. So with that said, let's go ahead and move on to video 2. In this particular video, I'm going to discuss what you should avoid doing. So you want to avoid doing the following. Now, this is a list of high priority things that you should watch out for. I'm sure there's a lot of other stuff out there, but these are the main things that you need to look for. First of all, you need to avoid banned and blacklisted domain names. What do I mean by that? Basically, remember, when you rent a domain name, you're renting year by year by year. You don't actually own that domain name. You could rent it for 10 years, you could rent it for 50, 30, whatever. The point is, a domain name could have history already, especially if you're buying an expired domain name. Somebody owned it previously, but you don't know what that person did to that domain name. Possibly they spammed people using that domain name. Possibly they did a lot of abusive things with the domain name. and then they ended up getting blacklisted on spam cops and blacklisted. And when you're blacklisted, that's not a good thing, especially when you buy a domain name that has blacklisted. Then you have to go through a lot of process to get that unblacklisted or get that off the list. So you want to do your due diligence first. How do you do your due diligence? How do you figure out the history of that specific domain name? Well, I'm going to give you specific guidelines so that help you do that. So how do you know? Well, the domain name that has no PageRank value. If you check the PageRank, it has no PageRank value whatsoever, it's likely to be banned. Now, that doesn't mean that that's the case. That's not always the case, but that's some indication. Second of all, the domain name is not located in Google or in any other major search engine. Now, like I said, that doesn't mean it's 100%. But these are, tools, these are guidelines that you need to follow. If that's the case, you might want to check that out. Okay, maybe this domain name was banned, or maybe it was blacklisted. Let me do further research. Well, here are some tools that you can use. Okay, so we got 3 tools here. The first thing I want you to check is www.iwebtool.com/Google_banned. Now, this specific tool, you can enter the domain name right here, www. Whatever your domain is, .com or .net, .tv, whatever, and click check. If that passes, then I still want you to double check. I want you to go to banchecker.com, enter that in here. If it checks out okay, fine. And then we got our trusty tool here, Google. You can do Yahoo and MSN and other search engines as well. Now, keep in mind that some domain names that you might register were never registered before. If that's the case, that's a good thing. If that's the case, then possibly they are not appearing in Google, in Yahoo, or in MSN.com. That's fine. As long as they pass these 2 right here, that's good. The last 3 are just in case you're buying an expired domain name. If they are expired domain names, since there's a previous domain owner, you want to still double check the search engines, Google, Yahoo, and MSN. Alright, so now that you understand how to check for banned and blacklisted domain names, the second thing is that you want to avoid trademark names. You definitely want to avoid that unless you want to get sued. As you know, trademark names are things like Walmart, Best Buy, Pizza Hut. Names of companies that have been registered. You also probably want to avoid, company names because most likely that has been trademarked, and people can go after you and sue you unless you want to get sued, unless you want to pay hundreds of thousands of dollars in fines. Then avoid trademark names. For example, if I was selling something that related to Best Buy, or I was a competitor of Walmart, then I definitely want to avoid, trademark names. Now, this is just common sense. I am not a lawyer for disclaimer reasons. If you want to seek legal advice, blah, 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 you want to talk to a real lawyer. But this is pretty much common sense. Avoid trademark names. You also want to avoid going on a shopping spree. I've made this mistake before as well. Unless you want to waste money. At the most, you probably want to invest in 10 domains at a time. 10 domain names, build them up, flip them, and sell them. Don't try to invest in like hundreds of domain names. We're talking about $10 each, $8 each, $7 each, whatever, depending on the domain registrar. So it can add up. So what I want you to do is focus on 10 and then stop and then focus on those 10. And I made that mistake in the past too. I registered 50, 30, 30, 50, 60 domains at a time sometimes when I was in this business. And I realized that some of those domain names I could not even sell. Some of the domain names I only sold for a few bucks. Because you got to realize that you're not going to get rich. But you've got to do the proper research that I'm about to show you. If you do the proper research, you can increase the value of the domain name. You increase your chance of making more money. So start small, doing well. If you're starting to do well, then invest more later. Another thing, stick with .com names if possible. If they're .net, .org, .tv, they are good, but the value drops. Unless you're dealing with, let's say .tv, and you're dealing with an actual, TV station that you've built, or something that people can watch that relates to TV, then they can be good. But other than that, if that's not the case, then you want to stick with .com names if possible, because when people psychologically they think of a website, they're going to probably assume that it is a .com. So the value increases because of that mentality that everybody has in society. So you want to stick with .com names if possible. Now, there are situations when you can go to .net, .org, and things like that, and I'll show you that in the next video. Lastly, you want to avoid buying domain names that you think are cool. I've done this. I've done this in the past. Sitting there, you're thinking, oh man, that domain name is going to be cool. You know what? I've bought over 20 domain names that I thought were cool, lost money on them, just let them expire because I thought they were cool. I did not do my keyword research, and I did not do proper profitability research, which I'm going to show you how to do and how that works so that you can see that in action. Now that you understand what to avoid, we can move on to video 3 and talk about how to find profitable domain names. Now, there's a specific technique that I'm going to show you that many of you have probably already used, so it should be pretty easy to implement. Let's talk about generic domain names versus non-generic. Generic domain names are basically domain names like televisions.com or computers.com. So a generic term or generic word basically covers a whole class or is a big topic. A non-generic term would be like a subtopic, like plasmatelevisions.com. Most generic domain names are taken, but it doesn't always hurt to find more. While they are taken, you can still focus on non-generic domain names and still make good money with them. Non-generic, they would be about 2 to 3 keywords, sometimes 4 keywords, depending on how profitable they can be. For example, instead of televisions.com, you can go for plasmatelevisions.com or lcdtelevisions.com. Basically 2-word domain names that are popular. Because if you think about it, in this world, televisions.com is very broad. Plasmatelevisions.com, you can focus on companies and businesses that are selling plasmatelevisions.com or lcdtelevisions.com or even a specific type of plasma television. Maybe they are a specific size of plasma televisions. So you can sort of see where I'm getting at. The keyword is very important here. If the keyword is profitable, you got people that are searching for that specific 2 to 3 or 4 keyword phrase, then most likely that domain is too. So you can search for those as well. Using the specific method, very easy method to use, by the way. Just doing your keyword research and then doing your profitability research. Doing these 2 things will help you find profitable domain names. All right, some quick rules here. Most generic terms, like 1-word terms, are already taken, but there are still diamonds in the rough, which means there are still generic terms out there that are not taken. Maybe they're acronyms like HDTV. I'm sure that one's already taken. But you get my point. Acronyms, popular sayings, they don't have to be proper English. They could be a specific saying that is popular, that there's a huge market out there for, but nobody has actually taken it. If you do find generic terms, like I said, remember, avoid going out and getting .net, .tv, .org domain names. But if you find a generic term, then it's okay to venture outside into .com, .net, things like that. If the term's not generic, you probably don't want to venture outside. Otherwise, you're going to lose money. Now, there are some special cases, but for the most part, that's the case. Now, here's the strategy that I'm talking about. It's like keyword research. The point here is that you're trying to find keywords people are already bidding on, for example, PPC. Or you're trying to find keywords that people are searching to buy a specific product or to sign up for that specific service. If you can find those keywords, you can turn them into domain names. Then you can check whether or not those domain names are available. If they are, then you still got yourself a gold mine. You see where I'm getting at? We're looking for profitable keywords. That's pretty much it. Before you start to do your keyword research, you're probably going to have to know what kind of niche or sub-niche that you're going to get into. Now, if I was going to go into plasma televisions, I might want, or electronics, to get some ideas, I could go to Newegg.com or some sort of electronic place. So Newegg.com sells computer stuff, laptops, electronics, and televisions. So if I go to televisions, on the left side, I'm going to see things like plasma televisions, plasma TV, LCD TV, LCD televisions, home theater projectors. Even though these are like three words here, 4 words there, they are still profitable because people are searching for them. Now, what kind of home theater projectors? What kind of LCD TVs? Or what kind of plasma TVs? So if I click on that, you don't want to bid on like Panasonic plasma televisions or Samsung, because you would be, breaking trademark law right there. But it's okay to bid on, things without the trademark. Now, because there are so many different types of plasma TVs out there, I could even bid on a specific type of plasma TV, maybe 40-inch plasma TV, 50-inch plasma TV, 52-inch, blah, 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 blah. Things like that. Or 1080p plasma TV. You can create all these ideas about all these different keywords. And you can see that it would still be profitable if you had a domain name that was like 50-inch plasma TVs. Then companies that are selling 50-inch plasma TVs, assuming that people are going to Google and typing that in, which probably would be the case, then it would be indeed profitable. Now, that brings us to keyword research. I have an idea of what kind of keywords I want to find. So I would recommend 2 tools. WordTracker's free keyword tool, which is located at freekeywords.wordtracker.com, and the other one, which is keywordspy.com, as you can see here. Keyword Spy allows you to find keywords that people are bidding on. So if people are bidding on it, it must be a profitable keyword. People are driving traffic to that keyword, to their business. But a lot of people overlook the fact that because people are searching for that keyword phrase, most people overlook, buying that specific domain name of that keyword phrase. So you see where I'm going with this. So if I go to WordTracker and I type in plasma televisions, let's see what I get. I get plasma televisions, plasmas versus LCD televisions. You know, you could even get that. Plasma versus LCD televisions. I mean, who knows if that exists? Let's go to namecheap.com and check and see whether that exists. If you're wondering, okay, why would I want to bid on a domain like that? Well, think about it. If you had that domain name, you could do a review on plasma and LCD televisions, get people to sign up onto your list, and then sell, maybe do a review on different things. So let's see if that is actually available. And it is. Now you kind of have to think out of the box here, because most people are like, that wouldn't be that profitable. Well, I mean, if you look at it, we've got 114 searches for that, and that's not bad. That's pretty good. So you can really, if you think out of the box and be creative, then you really can turn these into profitable domain names. And then when I show you how to flip the domain name, you yourself, you might be able to flip it to the point that even you're doing so well that you don't even want to sell the domain name. But a year later, you're doing so well with that domain name that you can sell it because you've got proof. You see what I'm saying? So we've got other places like Panasonic plasma televisions. That would be a good idea not to buy that domain name, or Costco or anything like that. Flat screen televisions, disadvantages of plasma televisions, 50-inch plasma televisions, sort of like what I was talking about earlier. Let's see if that's available. Basically, what you want to remove the spaces in between the keyword. Click on search, and we'll see if that is available or not. And well, it looks like it was already taken. But that right there is a good idea. So you see where I'm going with this? I'm basically using free word tracker tool to create a list of keywords, and then thereby erasing the the spaces in between. So let's say that I do choose and copy and paste a bunch of these keywords. Shop plasma televisions online. I probably want to stick up here above here so I can make sure that I get keywords that people are actually going to. So I might replace, I might put that there, or erase that. But what I'm doing here is just mainly showing you an example, 32 plasma television. All right, so let's say that I have created a whole list of, things like that. I can still go to Keyword Spy and type in plasma televisions. And it's a good thing to just check two sites, Word Tracker as well as Keyword Spy. And if I go here under, let's say, expand that a little bit. We can see the search volume and the cost per click per keyword. So we could even click on, let's see here, click on ads just to see what kind of ads there are. And the cool thing is you got to realize that people are paying money to bid on these keywords. But a lot of them overlook the fact that there are, the domain names, bidding on these domain names. So I can look at the pay-per-click competitors and see what kind of keywords that they have. So when I'm done creating my keyword list, and remember the whole idea here is not to just go out there and create a list of 100 or 1,000 keywords. we're not bidding on keywords here. We're finding profitable keywords. So what you want to do here is create a list. It's okay if it's a list of 5 or a list of 10 or a list of 20. So what I want you to do is just copy this into Notepad. And you see that there's spaces here, right? And I don't want to go through the whole thing and create, delete all the spaces. So what I do is highlight that space, and then I cut it, and I go to replace, and I paste it, right? Paste that space. Replace it with no space, because what happens here is we're removing the spaces. See how fast that was? And then what I want to do is add .com to everyone. So .com, 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 .com. All right, so once you have created your keyword list, you have found profitable keywords in a specific niche or sub-niche that you want to buy. Then what? What you're going to have to do next is to take all those keywords and then create the keyword list, and then basically remove all the spaces in the keywords, and then add a .com at the end of the keyword phrase. And then you will need to check whether or not that domain name is free or not. Well, how do you do that? Well, I'm going to show you in just a minute. All right, so now that you've used the tools and you've created a list of domain names, the next thing you need to do is go to a specific website where you can check whether those domain names are available or not. Now, of course, you could go to Namecheap, or you could go to Enom, or whatever domain registrar and search for them one by one. But to save you time, I want to show you a website where you can search for a lot of domain names in bulk at one time. If you go to domaintools.com/bulk-check. And if you don't know that, you can also go to domaintools.com, and they're going to have a link here for bulk check. So it says enter one domain per line, or separate with a space or comma. So what I'm going to do here is just do that. I'm going to copy this over, paste it, and then click submit. And then what it's going to do is it's going to show me what's available. So right now somebody already took the .com here and .com. But what is available is plasma television 46-inch, or plasma versus LCD televisions, or shop plasma television online. Now that's a 4-word keyword phrase, but remember, there's still a lot of people searching for that keyword phrase, right? Because people are searching for that keyword phrase, there's a big chance people are interested in buying a plasma television 46-inch. If somebody's typing that in, they're most likely interested in that. So as you can see here, this method, very, very simple to easy to use, but as you can see, very, very profitable, because you approach the right people, you've done your keyword research, and all you have to do is hand the buyer the research you did, for the keyword research. Now, there is, profitability research, which I'll show you later on how to do. Okay, great. Now let's move on and talk about another tactic. You can find expired domain names. There are many, many sites out there that provide lists of expired domain names. Domain names that are possibly about to expire, or domain names that have expired. Now you got to keep in mind that there are also thousands and thousands of people out there doing the same thing as you are. That's why I say the first technique is probably a lot better, because you do the proper keyword research and profitability research, and you figure out from that point, and then you register the domain name. In this case, you're defining expired domain names, and I'll show you some sites that you can go to do just that. Now, if you're thinking, well, I still don't really understand what expired domains names are. Basically, expired domain names are domain names that the owner, forgot to renew. Because remember, domain names, we don't necessarily own a domain name. We rent it out every single year. Once you have it rented, you can rent it for the rest of your life if you want to. But for the most part, it's typical that the owner can, forget to renew them. So let's say somebody owned televisions.com or plasmatelevisions.com. They forgot to renew it. Guess what? If they forget to renew it, it's not a trademark name, then you can grab it. But how do you know if it was, dropped or not? These sites will help you find just that. Of course, it would be pretty stupid if somebody owned plasmatelevisions.com forgot to renew it. And for the most part, a lot of people can renew it like 10 years, 30 years, or 10 years in advance, I believe it is. But these sites will help you find expired domain names. So you got justdrop.com, then you have deleteddomains.com. Deleted domains requires you to purchase a membership, which would make sense if you are indeed getting updated and brand new domain names that have been expired. So you can search these two sites, or you can go to Google and look for expired domain memberships as well. But these are just two just to give you a head start. Now, the question that I know many of you will be asking is, how do you price a domain name? Let's say that you have found some domain names that you have found that they are indeed profitable. Well, how do you do that? Well, you can measure how many people look for that keyword. All right, so we've already pretty much done that, but you want to double check that and make sure that you have the numbers down. You do the proper keyword research, see how many people are typing that keyword into Google every day. Then you want to measure how much profit one could make from selling products. Now, this is going to be hypothetical. Unless you have actual traffic coming to the site, which I'll show you later on how to do that. Unless you do that, the domain name, this is going to all be hypothetical. So you're measuring how much profit one could make. So let's say that I did indeed own plasmatelevisions.com. Want to go to Google, figure out, or Word Tracker, figure out, how many people are going to the plasma televisions, how many people are typing that in. Then I want to go search for plasma televisions, different companies. I want to figure out what kind of profits are people making by selling plasma televisions. So I could go to different sites. Now, of course, most companies are not going to tell you how much profit they are actually making. So how can you do that? Well, you can act like the seller. You can go to eBay, or you can go to places that do drop shipping. Figure out what kind of profit that you can make off of these plasma televisions. Once you do that, then you can figure out, okay, let's say 100 people are typing this keyword into Google each and every day. Let's say out of 100 people, one person, possibly becomes a buyer. Let's say I make $200 profit off of each television. Okay, that's $200 a day. 30 days, 30 times 200, I think that's 6,000. Yeah. But you get where I'm saying, right? This is all hypothetical. So you want to write those numbers down. Say, okay, this is how much you possibly could make. But you don't know that yet because the domain name perhaps hasn't even been advertised. It hasn't marketed. You haven't marketed the domain name. There's no traffic coming to the domain name. So this is all hypothetical. But even though it's hypothetical, I want you to write it down anyways. And then I can actually show you how to drive traffic and how to add more value to that domain name so that you can increase the value in the price of the domain name. So as you can see, it's all hypothetical, but you do want to write it all down so that when you implement the stuff that I'm about to teach you, you can increase the prices later down the road. So this video is pretty straightforward. It's just about how to register your domain name. Once you have found a profitable domain name, then what? If you already know how to register domain names, you can skip this video. But if you don't, I figured I'd create the video just in case. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is go straight to Google and show you how to do that. So let's say that I want to get and grab the domain name plasmatelevision46inch.com. As you can see, we've got over 1 million results for that keyword. So that's pretty good, and the fact that it's available and there's so many people bidding on that keyword, as you can see, it's a profitable keyword. But remember I said people overlook that. So anyways, we can go to Enom and you can register a domain there, enom.com. Another one is GoDaddy.com. I don't use this as much, but there's a lot of people that do use this, and they oftentimes they have a lot of sales, cheap sales for domain names. And this is basically all this is like a specific amount per year. Now I use Namecheap.com because Namecheap.com, at least for me, has been very reliable over the years, and I've been using it since, for a long time, earlier than 2005. I think I started with Registerfly in 2003, and then I think Registerfly, died out, and they actually, something happened to it, and they actually took my domain name. So you gotta pick a domain registrar that is reliable. Namecheap.com, enom.com, or GoDaddy.com. I wouldn't really go out and venture out to other places if I were you. So how do you register a domain name? Well, you need to create an account first. If you don't have an account, you can create an account. Just go to My Account, and if you don't have an account, it'll show you how to do it. You can sign up for a free account here, click on that, just fill out the necessary details, username, password, your first name, last name, email address, and things like that to create your account. Now, I already have an account, so I'm going to go ahead and log into that account. Now, keep in mind that Namecheap.com, the prices are $9.69 per year. Per year is not that bad. They usually range from anywhere from $8 to $12, $13, $14, $15. But for the most part, generally, the bigger ones are about $9.69 or $10 or $11. Anytime you see a domain registrar trying to charge you more than $12, $13, or $14, $15, if they're charging you that much or more, then I wouldn't really go with them, because most likely they are some third party. And remember, these domains, you want to make sure you register with a reliable company, because if you don't and they run away with your domains, you're screwed. So that's why I say Namecheap. But anyways, I'm going to get back to my account. And the cool thing about Namecheap is it offers many different types of payments. If you have PayPal, you can use that. They also offer Google Checkout. I mean, I don't know if anybody uses that, but that's available just in case. Now, what you have to do is type in the domain name that you want first, which is Plasma Television 46-inch. So that's available. I want to add to my cart. And basically all I have to do is just go through the process of checking out, just like you would when you're buying anything else. So as you can see, it's very, very easy. You don't need any of this. In fact, it says add web hosting, but I would not recommend that, because Namecheap is known for their domain names. They're not really known for their web hosting. I would go to a place that is known for whatever they're good at. So Namecheap.com, get your domain name. So forget everything else. If you want to buy other domain names, that's fine. And then you can check out, buy the domain name. Once you have purchased the domain name, then you're going to see them in your account. So these are my domain names, and you can actually connect these domain names to your web hosting, which I'll talk a little more about later on when we actually set up or flip the domain name. But I just wanted to show you that so you can kind of get an overview of what it was like to register a domain name. If you have gotten this far, then you have found a profitable domain name, as you can see. Now, some of you don't have a lot of time to flip your domain name, and we're kind of diving a little bit into website flipping. Not so much, but just a little bit, just to increase the value of your domain name, which we'll talk about in video 6. If you want to skip this video, you can go ahead and do that and just go straight to video 6. But if you don't want to go to video 6 and you don't want to take the time to create a squeeze page and create content, which by the way is not hard to do, it might take you about an hour to do, set it up and drive traffic to it, drive traffic, do all that, it might take you about a few hours and then about a day. But I mean, think about it. You can increase the value of your domain name. We're talking about hundreds of dollars, even maybe thousands of dollars. But if you don't want to do it now, you don't have time, that's fine. You can still generate some passive cash. If you want to do that, then I'm going to show you how to do just that. And this is optional if you don't want to flip your domain name. So you're probably thinking, okay, what kind of passive cash can I earn from a domain name? Well, you've already figured out that there's already traffic coming to that domain name, right? Every day there's 50, 100 people coming or trying to find that keyword. Well, you know on Google.com that if you have a specific keyword phrase, for example, plasma televisions 46-inch, if somebody types that in and you are ranked in Google and you do specific, marketing tactics to get yourself indexed into Google, Google tends to favor you because your domain name is the exact phrase that they are typing in, okay? And because of that, you do those proper marketing tactics that I'll show you later, people come to your site, and they see your domain name. So how do you get passive cash? They're looking for 46-inch plasma televisions. If they're doing that, they're specifically searching for that, then you can make passive cash by turning your domain into a parked domain name. So if you go to cdo.com, you got parked domain names. Fabulous.com, they have a parking program. It says wanting to park some or all of your domain names. With the Fabulous.com, you can gain access to our proven established high revenue parking program. So basically what you're doing is you're parking your domain name so that you have, site ads and things like that from Fabulous or Sidu.com or Sido.com, whatever site you choose, you have ads there. And then people come to those ads, they click on the ads, and you gain some passive cash. All right, see what I'm doing? So the parking program here says, you can choose from a variety of performance optimized parking landers. So different types of templates that would allow you to gain passive cash. People come to the site, they click on some links, you get some cash. It's not a lot of money, but still money. So if you're doing this on a larger scale, let's say you're earning 10, 20 bucks, a day or a week, then it's about, a couple hundred per month, which isn't bad if you're just parking your domain name. And then Cdo.com has another one. It says, all right, how does this work? Our system displays relevant ads on your domains. Visitors click on advertisements, then you earn money. So as you can see here, freephonetones.com is, Cdo.com actually. It's a parked domain name. So right now, as you can see, it shows a bunch of ads that relates to phones, free phone zones or free phones. So if, say, I clicked on one of these links, then the advertiser has to pay, pay per click, and then, or pay per whatever their system is. And then every time somebody clicks on that, you get paid a certain amount of cents, anywhere from a few cents, 10 cents, 20 cents, or more, depending on the keyword. So because you've already done all the research possible, you've got traffic coming to your site, then you are producing passive income. So that's a good way to do it. But if you want to make even more money, I would recommend you look at video 6. Even if you don't want to do video 6 just yet, I recommend that you watch video 6, because we're going to take this to a whole new level on not just passive cash, but making money, building your list, driving traffic to the site. And if you do want to sell that domain in the long run, you can. And by that time, you've already gotten traffic to the site. You've got more traffic to the site. And you've got proof to the domain person that wants to buy your domain that this domain is not just profitable. You've got proof that it is profitable and that it's producing you traffic, producing you money, and things like that. Okay, so in video 6, we're going to flip your domain name. What I mean by that is we're going to increase the value of your domain name. Now, this takes a little more time, but it adds more value. So if you want to increase the value and increase the cost that you're going to sell, your domain name, then you might want to take a look at this video. It's not going to take a long time, I guarantee you. It's going to take several hours, maybe take half a day, but no more than that. So if it can increase the value of your domain name by several hundred to several thousand, I'm pretty sure this is worth it. Now, as you will watch this video, you will see how easy it is. All you have to do is get up a squeeze page, a web page, get some traffic to it, and that's all. You're not going overboard here. So with that said, let's go ahead and move in. The first thing you want to do is you want to add some sort of content. You want to add a web page, a squeeze page, maybe even at this time you can add an autoresponder and build your list out of this. So maybe you could have several different domain names that all are in a specific niche or sub-niche, and you're all building your list at the same time. So you could build your list, and then you can sell the domain name. So you've built a list of people, or you could even sell that list. You could sell the squeeze page. You could sell the web page that's on the domain name. So you could turn it into website flipping. But really, this is not really website flipping, just because we're just trying to do the least amount of work and just increase the value slightly, drive some traffic over, and then when you sell the domain name, you can say, hey, look, it's listed in Google. You got some traffic coming to it. We already know that people are indeed searching for keywords for that domain name keyword phrase. So to people, when they buy a domain name, if they buy a domain name and it's not just people are coming to it, they see people traffic coming to it, people coming to it, then they're probably going to pay more money because of that. And if you follow the system, then it's going to work in that way. So you can add a web page, add a squeeze page, or whatever. And I'm going to show you in just a minute how to do it. So what I'm going to talk about now is how to add content to your website. Now, just to recap, you need a domain name and you need web hosting. Of course, by now you probably have a domain name, but I just wanted to repeat that. If you have a domain name and you have hosting, then there is information that the host will provide you with to connect the two. Now, just to give you a general overview, to connect the two, generally HostGator, for example, if you go with HostGator, they will give you what they call a DNS. DNS. So you log into your account, Namecheap or GoDaddy or whatever. You log in, then you find the domain name that you want to point to that web host, okay? If this is confusing, then you can always go to the host and they'll usually tell you how to do it. But I just want to give you a quick overview on how to do it so that you can put all the pieces together. So once I log in, I'm going to choose a domain name. Let's say, for example, that I want to edit or turn freemarketingwebinar.info. Actually, on second thought, I'm going to change the domain name. But anyways, what you're going to do is you're going to modify the domain name. And then you need to click on domain name server setup. And then you're going to see there are DNS servers here. This is all going to make sense once you receive the DNS from the web hosting, wherever you're hosting it. They're going to basically give you these two things. And all you have to do is add them in here and then click on Save Changes. Once you do that, the domain name of the web hosting will be connected. And then you can, when you upload files to the web host, then you will be able to see it whenever somebody enters the domain name. Alright, so now that you have the basics, what you're going to need to have in addition to that are two more softwares. You're going to need to have some sort of tool that allows you to edit the web page, and I would recommend NVU. If you go to Google, type in NVU, you'll find net2.com/NVU. If you go to the site, you can go ahead and download, click download, and you want to download the Windows full installer if you're using Windows. If you're using Macintosh or Linux or anything else, you can download down here. But simply click that, install the software, and I'm going to use that in just a minute. So you want to have that installed once we begin to use it. So besides that, what else do you need? Okay, you need to have some sort of FTP program. FTP program basically allows you to upload files to your web host. All right, so if we had a diagram, okay, we'd have the domain name here, web hosting here on the left. They're connected. But in order for you, if you go to google.com, to see all these pages, you need to upload files to your web host. All right. To do that, you need a program. I would recommend a program called FileZilla. It's a free program, but it's very useful, and I've had a lot of great success with that. So go to FileZilla, click on download here, download the .exe file, install it, get it running, because I'm going to use that in just a minute. Alright, so I'm not going to use that right now, but I'm going to start using NVU in just a minute. So let's say, for example, that I wanted to create, let's say I want to create a new squeeze page in NVU. NVU is so easy to use. I mean, if you've used Microsoft Word, you should have no problem using this. So what I want to do is create an HTML page. So maybe I'll make a new folder called Test Pages. And go in that folder, right click, click on New, and create a text document. Basically, I'm going to highlight all of this, okay? Type in index.html. Just type in index.html, click enter, click yes. Then you want to open this file in NVU. The reason why I named it index.html is because when you upload that to your web host, then the browser will read that. You know, if you go to plasmatelevisions.com and you upload this in the root directory of plasmatelevisions.com, you're going to see this automatically because the browser reads the index.html file by default. So basically, I'm telling you this stuff, but if you're thinking, man, it doesn't make sense, just follow step by step what I'm doing. If you can do that, and most of you should be able to do that, then you should have no problems. Okay, so once you install NVU, you have to have NVU installed before you do this. Once you have NVU installed, right click on index.html, then open the file with NVU. So open with NVU. Some of you may not even see it on this list. If you don't see it on this list, you can click choose default program and then click this plus sign. Most likely NVU will be listed here. If you can't find it, you can click browse and then go to your program files area, see program files, and look for NVU. So click that purple thing here and click open. But since I already have it, I'm just going to click right click, open with NVU. All right. And the reason why I'm going so much into detail is because I want to make sure that if you don't know about a certain area, then I cover that area so that I leave no man in the dark. All right, so this is NVU and this is pretty much a web page. And keep in mind that when you create a web page or a squeeze page or article content, you want to make it look clean. Cleaner the better. You don't want to make it all fancy. I know you might be tempted to put a lot of images and things like that just because it looks pretty, but I would not recommend that. Just keep it clean, keep it looking nice, and you'll be good to go. So it really depends on what you want to do. Do you want to have article content? Do you want to have a squeeze page or whatever? For me, I would probably go with a squeeze page because a squeeze page, if I'm using article marketing and things down the road, and when people get to your site, they're already interested in that specific keyword phrase, plasma televisions. Okay, so I probably wouldn't want to create a squeeze page so that they can sign up onto my list or they get some sort of free content from me. Now, to create a squeeze page is very, very easy. It consists of this. You got a headline at the top. Sometimes they have subheadlines. Subheadlines basically support the headline. And then you have introduction, basically introducing perhaps what you're providing. List at least 3 problems people face with plasma televisions. Maybe you can make a squeeze page. Think about it. Maybe you can make a squeeze page about how to buy the best plasma television or how to know how to get the cheapest plasma television. You know, stuff like that. And you can really find this stuff if you go to Ezine Articles, okay? If you go to ezinearticles.com. I'm not saying copy, I'm saying get an idea. And you can even type that, like how to get cheap plasma televisions. I could say plasma television, cheap plasma televisions. And just look through it and just get an idea of what you can do as well. So list 3 problems that people face, and then introduce perhaps your report. So you could have something like a 5 to 10 page report on how to get the best plasma television. And then you can list 3 benefits. People buy into benefits more than they buy into features because the benefit answers their question as to what's in it for me. And then you list 3 benefits and then you have a call to action. So you say grab this free 5-page report on how to get best cheapest plasma televisions. So you can see where I'm going with this, right? So what I'm doing is I'm adding value, and later down the road when there's traffic coming to the page, I can go to plasma television companies and say, hey, check this out. I've got this domain right now with traffic coming to it, and plasma television 46-inch. And on this web page or on this domain name, I have listed a squeeze page where people can get reports on how to get cheap and the best plasma televisions. So I've done a lot of the groundwork. You're listed in Google. I mean, the domain's listed in Google. It's got traffic going to it. What better way than this? But to grab this domain name along with maybe the squeeze page to generate traffic for this plasma television, retailer. So you can now see the power of just doing this basic thing. Add a headline, say something like, you get a free report on how to get better plasma televisions in just 3 days or something. And the subheadline can be like, this is a 5-page report, or this is a 5-minute video, step-by-step video that shows you exactly how to do it. In the introduction, you could say something like, hi, welcome to this blah blah. Or you don't have to say it. You could list a fact. This is the fact about plasma televisions. Or here's a problem that people face with plasma televisions. They invest too much money, or they invest into something that breaks, things like that. Then introduce your report. Say, hey, but I've got this lovely report for you that will fix these problems, and you list the benefits. This 5-page report will save you time and save you money. And then call to action. So grab this free report today on blah, blah, blah. And that's it. And then you have to have, like, maybe if it's a squeeze page and you're getting people to sign up, then you might want to have an autoresponder. To get the code for the autoresponder, I would recommend you get aweber.com if you don't have it already. So it's aweber.com. aweber.com provides you with a lot of information, a lot of material, and a lot of video walkthroughs, as you can see here, on how to get started and how to add that code to your squeeze page. So when you add the code to your squeeze page, what you're going to see is the ability to make a squeeze page and the ability to get people to sign up, to give you your email address and their name, and your autoresponder is going to automatically send them the free 5 to 10 page report. So what you're doing here is you're automating the whole system so that you save time, you save money in the long run, and all you have to do is repeat the cycle over and over again. You do it again, you find another plasma television domain name, you do the same thing because you've set up the same system. So whether it's 50-inch, 46-inch, or even other stuff about plasma televisions. So you can see where I'm going with this. If you stick with a niche that you have found that to be profitable, you can repeat the cycle over and over again and profit from it and produce and increase your business. Okay, so by now you're wondering, okay, what do I do now? How do I upload this through FTP? Well, remember I said you're going to need FileZilla later? We're going to use that right now. You want to make sure you save the index.html file. Click Save, you're done. Then the next thing you want to do is locate the file. Okay, this is the file here. Then you want to go to FileZilla. So go ahead and open FileZilla, which is an FTP program, as you can see here. And what I'm going to do is just go ahead and connect to one of my domain names. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I guess I'll add it to, just for test purposes, I'll add it to this page. So basically when you're inside, what you want to do is go to the public_HTML. Some of you might have a different thing like HTTP docs or whatever, but you just need to go to the folder where you can upload files and see it on your site. So I'm going to go there. And what I did was I basically created a folder called domain test. So as you can see, it's not like a full squeeze page, but I pretty much went through it so you could understand it. So I'm going to close this out and I'm going to go to the folder that contains that file. Because I named it as index.html, index.html, all I have to do is drag and drop it into that folder, okay? Once I do that, I can check it by going to my site, domain test. So you can see that you see exactly what we saw with NVU. You can add images, you can add tables, and things like that. But what I said, and what I want to make a point of is that keep it simple. Keep it simple, keep it simple. Add value, but keep it simple because you don't want to spend too much time on this. You don't need to spend too much time on this. But as you can see, very, very easy to do. You just need a domain name, you need web hosting, connect the two, then download NVU and FileZilla, install both softwares, use NVU to create the squeeze page. Then use FileZilla to basically upload to that squeeze page. Now, if you want to know how to use FileZilla, basically it says host. Your host is ftp.yourdomain.com. Then your username and password is whatever the host gives you. And then you can quickly connect, and that's it. Once you've added your content, whether it's a squeeze page, a web page, or landing page, whatever, just make it simple. Once you have done that, then you can promote your site. What I would recommend that you do first is to add it to a social bookmarking site. If that domain name is not in Google yet, it's not indexed in Google, I recommend you do this step because you can get indexed within 24 hours or less, or 48 hours or less. If you do that and you get indexed into Google, when you sell the domain name, you can say, hey, look, it's in Google already. So I've already done the groundwork. Then you can do article marketing. You add content to article sites. Write a bunch of articles that surround your domain name, or you can write one or two. You can get some traffic that way too. Then you can build backlinks. Backlinks are another thing that people look at whenever they buy a website in general. So you can kind of use some things from website flipping into domain flipping. They overlap a little bit, but it's not as much work. So you could do blog commenting. If you don't know what that is, I'll show you that in just a minute. Believe it or not, this step right here is very, very simple to do. Before you do this, you need to have your content set up, your web page, your squeeze page, or article content, or whatever you have up on your page. Recommended that you only have a single page on your site, just to keep it simple. Once you've done that, then you can submit it to social bookmarking sites. Two that I would recommend is dig.com and delicious.com. So what you would do is, in case, like, for example, my thing is about plasma televisions. So I would want to find a category that relates to plasma televisions. I go on dig.com and just submit my site as a social bookmark. The content's good, then you can get more digs, and as you can see, the higher you get on the page. But the whole purpose of that is just to get indexed. Then you can go to delicious.com and also bookmark your site there as well, just to get indexed in both these sites. Once you get indexed in both these sites, a lot of times you can get indexed into Google within 12, 48 to 72 hours. Once you get indexed, then you have your domain name indexed. You want to start ranking it up. You start ranking that up, and you can start driving some traffic to it. You basically can take the same article content, or the content that's on your squeeze page, rewrite it a bit into an article, and It could take you anywhere from less than 10 minutes to 15 or 20 minutes to write an article. You can go to easyarticles.com, which is one of the top article directory sites out there. And because you get to submit your article here, if it's quality content and it gets accepted, then your Google ranking is going to be a lot better because you're going to get a one-way backlink from a high authority site. And Google views all these three sites as high authority. Once you do that, you could take a few hours and do some blog commenting. If you don't know what that is, basically you're going to go to blogs that relate to your domain name. So Plasma Televisions. What I would do is, in quotes, I would put the keyword Plasma Televisions, and then I would put plus WordPress. So what I'm doing here is I'm looking for blogs. Blogs tend to get a lot of traffic, and they tend to get higher rankings in Google and in search engines in general. And because of that, you can go to these blogs and you can comment on these blogs. But here's the thing. If you, for example, let's go open these sites here, and I'll show you in just a minute what I'm referring to if you don't know what I'm referring to just yet. Okay, so this site right here talks about how to buy a plasma TV. If your web page talks about plasma TVs, and as we can see, it does talk about 42 to 46 inches in size, blah blah blah. So that's good. That's the type of traffic you want. And most likely, if somebody reads this article, they're going to look at the comments below. They look at the comments below and they see that you commented on this specific blog and you are related to Plasma TVs. Your website or domain name or squeeze page is related to Plasma Televisions, right? So you get a lot of targeted traffic. But not only that, Google comes and views this article. They look in the comments sometimes and they say, oh, hey, look, there's a link going out to this other page about Plasma Televisions. So when you leave a comment, you're basically getting one-way backlinks to your website. So you want to leave your name, your email, and your website in your post. So your website is going to link back to your actual domain. Now here's the thing I want you to keep in mind though. When you read an article and you comment it, don't just say great article and that's it. Try to read the article. I mean, if you look at how to buy a plasma TV, most likely it's going to tell you the strengths and weaknesses and things like that. You can skim the article, but make sure you pick a piece out of the article and say, hey, I really liked how you said, blah, blah, blah about this specific area. That way, the author knows that you're replying and you're adding quality to your comment. You're not just getting one-way backlinks to your site. And bloggers know that. They know that people can get one-way backlinks just by commenting on their own blog. But here's the thing. Authors can also delete your comment if your comment is just spam. So you want to add value. If you can add value to this blog by commenting on the blog and leaving a good comment that shows people maybe more about Plasma Televisions, then most likely the author is going to keep your comment on the blog. People are going to see your comment, come to your blog, and you're going to get better rankings because of that. And it's really not that hard. Just use the same method I showed you. Put the keyword in quotations and then plus WordPress. Do that, you find WordPress blogs. You find 5 to 10, or you could even outsource this type of stuff, which I even do. If you outsource this type of stuff, you can get somebody to post, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 comments a day. A day. And you can keep doing this to all these different domain names and get the necessary traffic. Then you want to use something like Google Analytics to make sure that you keep track of the traffic so that when it comes time to selling the domain name or putting an ad on the domain name, you have proof that there's traffic that is coming to that domain name. So it increases the value of your domain name so you can sell it for more. And of course, keep in mind that you can outsource these things. You can use sites like rentacoder.com, odesk.com, guru.com, and scriptlance.com. I might give you some pointers in just a minute and specifics to these sites. Okay, so I just want to show you real quick what it looks like. Rentacoder.com, if you go to the site, it looks like this. Now, you might think, oh, it's all about software. Really, it's not just about software. You can hire people on a one-time basis if you like, and it's actually quite convenient. Now, if you're thinking, well, I want to hire somebody on a consistent basis, because if I'm a domainer, a person that's buying and selling domains, and I'm setting up these squeeze pages, I want somebody who will be there consistently, like a virtual assistant. If that's the case, then I would recommend odesk.com. As you can see here, you can find people that are willing to work for you on an hourly basis, anywhere from $2, $3, $4 up to $7 or $20. So you can search people, do some initial transactions. If you like the person, you can move on. Guru.com is another good one. It's sort of like rentacoder.com, but I found Guru.com has a lot more professional people, well, people that it does charge a little more money. But Guru.com, you have, I'd say, a lot more quality than Rentacoder. So I would probably recommend Odesk and Guru.com, but I wanted to give you an option of looking at Rentacoder.com as well as Scriptlance.com. Scriptlance.com focuses a lot more on the software end, but you do find a lot of people there who are willing to set up squeeze pages and things like that. And the reason why I mentioned these two is because these are more technical based. Scriptlance, I'd say, is a software freelance site, and because that's the case, you find people that know what they're doing when it comes to setting up web pages, designing or even setting up squeeze pages. So you drive your costs a lot lower because you're dealing with people that already know what they're doing. Congratulations, you're at the end of this video series. And the last video here is all about selling your domain name. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about places where you can sell your domain names and tactics that you can use. And then I'm going to switch over to some screen capture video where I show you exactly how to do it. So with that said, let's move on. The first thing I want to talk about is what you should not do. Do not sell your domain to another domainer. Domainer is a person that is looking to sell and buy and sell domains just like you. And the reason why is because you're going to lose profits. If you think about it, domainers like us, if you're a domainer, you're looking to buy a domain name for cheap and sell it for more, right? So if you sell it to another domainer, then most likely they're looking to buy your domain name for a lot cheaper. So you could lose hundreds or even thousands of dollars by selling it to another domainer. So you kind of get an idea that you want to sell it to somebody who perhaps is in the business, that specific business of that, keyword phrase. So if you sell it to that type of person, they're not the type of domainer, they're not really looking to buy the domain and sell it. They're looking to keep it. Because they're looking to keep it, they see more value in keeping it and paying more money for it, if you see what I mean. So here are places where you can sell your domain names. Domain names forums and domain name marketplaces. Domain name forums are places where people gather and they talk about domain names, and perhaps you might, find a good domain name, they might want to buy it. So these people are interested in buying, specific domain names. Domain name marketplaces. A lot of buyers might go here and try to find domain names to grab for their own business. Now you got to keep in mind, like I said earlier, there are a lot of domainers that float around in these forums, in these marketplaces. So you got to keep those things in mind. So you got to know your domain name well. You got to know, the keyword phrase. You have had to done the research as far as profitability, see how profitable the domain name is and how it can make money for whomever. So domain name forums, what I would recommend is namepros.com. That's a good one. Another good one is domainboardroom.com. You can register and see the inside. And then dnforum.com, place to talk about domains. These are good places where you can find like-minded people. If you want to increase your knowledge on buying and selling domain names, you can do that. But you can also, at the same time, find people that are looking to buy domain names. So this is a good place to start, NamePros and dnforum. And then you have places and marketplaces where you can actually sell the domain names. One of it's Cedo.com, like I showed you earlier, Moniker.com, AfterNIC.com, GreatDomains.com. As you can see here, people can make offers and things like that. And then we have SnapNames.com. And as you can see, it's very similar. People can make offers. You can see it ranges from anywhere from $59 to thousands of dollars. And so check these out and look into them. You can also place an ad on the domain name itself. Let's say that you're selling it. It's possible for your competitors to be searching for specific keywords in their niche, and they come on your domain name, they find it's at the top 10 of Google, for example. And if they see that, they're thinking, oh, yeah, I like this domain name. And I could actually buy it from this person because, on the domain name itself, there's an ad. You could even put statistics on your ad showing the statistics that you get from a specific keyword phrase, so that when a competitor or somebody in that market sees that, then they can contact you. All right, so let's talk about putting an ad up. To put an ad up, you want to create a page for that ad. So let's say, for example, that I edit this with NVU. And you should already know how to edit with NVU now if you viewed video 6. If you didn't view video 6, I'd recommend that you go back, because I talk about how to download the software, how to install it, and how to use it. So I want you to just go ahead and open up your index.html file. This can be a different index.html file. Open that with NVU, and what we need to do is just make a simple ad. The stuff you want to have on the ad is like the domain name, of course. Domain name. Then you want to include the number of words. If it's plasma televisions, that's 2. Then the number of numbers. If we did plasma television 46-inch, that would be 46 would be a number. Generally, the rule says that you should not, go with numbers, but I think that's okay in that case. If you're approaching businesses that sell 46-inch plasma TVs. But in general, you probably want to stay away from numbers as much as possible. Hyphens are basically, they look like this, your-domain-.com. Those are considered hyphens, but sometimes even hyphens are okay too. But for the most part, there are some special cases, but for the most part, you want to stay away from hyphens. Then you want to include traffic statistics, like create a screenshot of your Google Analytics and of the traffic that you're receiving. Because if you are following the guidelines with video 6 and you're getting traffic to the site and you've got a snippet of Google Analytics code on that page, then Google Analytics will tell you exactly who's coming to your website, how many people are coming to your website, and how many people are actually staying on your website for a certain period of time, where they're coming from, and things like that. Because domain buyers want to know all of that. They love statistics because statistics is what helps, convert in their head. So they see a screenshot of statistics. They see, you can even list the keyword research that you did, the profitability research that you did. Don't list how much though, because you want to ask them to contact you. Because if you can figure out, okay, this guy's a business owner, he runs a business, he sells plasma televisions, most likely he's going to want to pay more. So you can kind of get an idea from that. So ask them to contact you, include your email, contact information, your phone, whatever, but don't list how much up front. Especially unless you're using the method where you go out and you list it on marketplaces. Then you can put a price to it if you want. But I'm just telling you from the perspective of putting an ad onto your domain name. And to do that, just click save and upload it to the root directory of your domain name. So once you go under FileZilla, you go to public_HTML, that folder where you upload the files, simply just drag and drop and upload that. Basically just how I showed you in video 6. So like I said, if you did not view video 6, I want you to go back and view it because you'll understand some basic fundamentals just by viewing that video. And another thing you can do is approach a business in that market. Remember I said that the people that are looking to buy your domain name and keep it are most likely going to pay more money because the fact that they see value in that domain name, they want to keep that domain name. And they don't want to sell it, they want to keep it so that they can grow their own business. So what you do is you approach a business or businesses in that market. So if I had plasma TVs or 40-inch plasma TVs, I would go ahead and approach people that are selling 46-inch plasma TVs. So you're going straight to them and they know that they need to market their stuff. The fact of the matter that you've already gotten your domain name indexed by using video 6 and got some traffic to that site, that's like free marketing to them. So it's like a done deal. They're willing to buy that domain name, especially if there's traffic going to it. All right. So you did your keyword research, you did your profitability research. You know that this domain name is profitable and people are searching for those keywords. So you got all these statistics. You can put all those statistics, like I said earlier, on an ad onto your domain name so that they can see it. And then you find somebody in that industry. So what I'm going to do next is show you exactly how to do this and how to approach this and how to approach businesses and talk to them about this. Now, before you actually approach a business, you want to know whether or not that business would want to actually buy your domain name, whether they're actually making money. If they're making money, they will see the value in your domain name because the process that you've gone through shows that you've pretty much done all the marketing work for them. To find the domain name with traffic already going to it is a gold mine. So what you want to do is go to alexa.com. Here you can find the movers and the shakers. You can find sites and websites that are getting a lot of traffic. So if they see they're getting a lot of traffic, they see a value in getting more traffic. See what I mean? So for plasma televisions, I might type in plasma televisions and do a search on Alexa and take a look at what sites are getting good traffic from it. Now with Alexa, just so you know, the lower the rank, the better. So as you can see, the higher it is, 400 compared to 71,000. 71,000, that means that they're getting a lot more traffic. And you can see that by looking at this bar here. So 71,000 is better than 97,000. So Plasma TV buying guide, I could go there and take a look. So I want to target people like that, or even, these sites like this. DTV City, online retailer. All right, so let's say I pick these 4 here. And you can view what kind of traffic they're getting. They're getting, 30, they have a rank of 37,000 in the USA. But in the whole world, they have 71,000, which is pretty good. Even with this, dtvcity.com, which is a company, you can see that they're decreasing in traffic. Now, one thing to keep in mind is the guys that are constantly increasing. You see that 1 month they go down, 1 month they go up, 1 month they go up. Some sites are always going up. So some of these sites already have their systems in place. They already have their marketing systems in place. So they might not be as willing to purchase a domain name. But if you see a site that's up, down like this, then you know that they're looking to market their stuff. So if you find a domain that relates to plasma TVs, like plasma TV versus LCD TV, and you drive some traffic to that site already, so you got your statistics, you approach these people by going to their site. So we go to plasmatvbuyingguide.com. Never been to the site, I'm just viewing this. You take a look at the site. They got reviews, they're selling TVs as well. And they have a lot of information about TV, so that's a good thing. So what I'm looking for right now is a contact, so I can contact these people. Right now I don't see a contact. I'm sure there is, maybe I'm looking over. Okay, about us, click about us. Okay, there is a contact, and they are located in South Carolina. So I could just email Nancy here for marketing inquiries or the advertising department. They would probably love to hear from you. So that's just an idea there. Then I would do the same thing. I would repeat the cycle. I would repeat it. I would go, I'd probably skip that and go straight to these guys. And then I'd do all of these. And you can even hire somebody to do that. You can go to onodesk.com, create a process or a system, and have somebody follow that system step by step. Go here. As long as it's below 500,000, you can go find the contact, and email template, a customized template. So Alexa.com is a great way to go, or a great place to go to. You can also use Keyword Spy. Type in plasma television. So I enter that in. And what I could do is look under PPC competitors. The reason why I want to look under PPC competitors versus all the other competitors is because these people are already bidding on keywords that relate to plasma television. So the fact that they're already bidding tells me that they're already willing to pay money for their marketing. Now, big companies like this, I would not really approach. I would probably approach the ones at the end. The smaller companies, but you could even approach the semi-big ones, because sometimes the big ones don't really care as much because they have this, like Walmart, they have this humongous advertising budget anyways. So you want to approach small to medium-sized businesses. So as you can see, the same method is a great way to find buyers, so domain buyers that are willing to buy because they are already marketing and they're already paying money to market. Okay, so you've learned some tactics on how to sell your domain name, but remember, you're not going to get rich initially. And this is a business. It's not get rich quick business. But if you follow the guidelines that I've taught you in this video series, do your keyword research, you figure out the profitability research, and you figure out whether or not this domain name is worth registering. You register, you buy or you buy or rent the domain name for how many years. And you do your research first before buying the domain name. If you do that, you're not going to really spend a lot of money. Think about it. I mean, if you do your research for 5 domain names, that's about $50, right? $50. If you have a reseller account for web hosting, you can host all of those domain names on that one hosting account. So you save money initially, you do your research, you make more money in the long run. And that's the goal in this video series. If you follow these guidelines, you really don't have to have a lot of money. As long as you have the specific tools, internet, your brain, $50 or more for investments, then you're good to go. So with that said, good luck and to your success.